Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global English Talks. My name is Olivia, and I'm so happy you are here with me today. In this episode, we are going to talk about something very useful for your English journey. Today, we will learn how to start thinking in English. I know it can feel difficult at first. Maybe you are asking yourself, how can I think in English if it is not my first language? Don't worry, it's possible, and it will help you a lot. When you practice thinking in English, you will speak more easily, understand more quickly, and feel more confident every day. It's like giving your brain a new habit. In this lesson, I will guide you step by step. You will learn simple and practical tips that you can use daily to make English a natural part of your life. So, stay with me until the end, and let's begin this journey together. When you start thinking in English, something amazing happens. Your brain begins to change the way it works with language. At first, it can feel strange. You might stop and try to translate every word from your own language. This is normal. Every learner goes through this. It shows that your brain is learning a new way to think. Thinking in English helps you speak faster. Many learners translate words in their heads before they speak. This can be slow and tiring. It is like trying to walk while looking at a map all the time. When you think in English, you do not need to translate. Words and sentences come to your mind naturally. You can speak more easily and quickly. When you think in English, you also understand more. You notice how words and sentences are used. You hear the rhythm, the sounds, and the common expressions. You do not need to think about grammar rules all the time. Your mind starts to recognize patterns. You can follow conversations, movies, songs, and podcasts more easily. Thinking in English also gives you confidence. Speaking becomes less scary because your mind is already in English. You do not need to stop and translate. You do not worry so much about mistakes. You speak what your mind already knows. Every small success makes you feel better and more confident. You can start with small steps. Begin with your daily life. Think in English about simple things. I am drinking coffee. I am going to the shop. I like listening to music. Then try more ideas. I want to learn English to speak with more people. I am happy to practice new words today. Speak these sentences aloud. Hearing your voice helps your brain connect thinking and speaking. Another way to practice is to listen and read in English. Watch movies, listen to songs or podcasts, and read simple texts. Do not translate every word. Try to understand the meaning. Listen again and again. Your brain will remember words and sentences. Soon, you will think in English automatically. Remember, thinking in English is not about being perfect. It is about training your brain. At first, it can feel slow, but every day it becomes easier. Your brain learns to speak and understand English naturally. When you think in English, your learning becomes real. You speak faster, understand better, and feel more confident. You can join conversations, make friends, and enjoy English without fear. Thinking in English turns learning into living. Every time you practice, your English becomes stronger and more natural. Start today. Think in English for a few minutes every day. Speak simple sentences aloud. Listen to English around you. Your English will grow step by step. You will feel proud of every little improvement. One day, speaking English will feel easy and natural. When you start thinking in English, one of the most powerful changes you will notice is how much faster you can respond in conversations. Many English learners face a common problem. When someone asks a question or talks to you, you start translating words in your head. You hear the English, then think of the meaning in your own language, then try to find the correct English words to answer. This process is slow. It can make conversations feel difficult. It can make you hesitate. You might feel nervous or unsure because you are trying to find the right word or phrase in the moment. But when you train your mind to think directly in English, everything begins to change. You do not need to translate anymore. Your brain starts to recognize English words and sentences naturally. You hear a question or a comment, and your mind immediately understands it in English. You start to search for answers in English automatically. This is a huge step for fluency. Conversations begin to feel easier, faster, and smoother. You can respond with confidence because your brain already knows what to say. Think about it like walking on a new path. At first, you need to look at every step. You feel careful, slow, and unsure. You may even trip sometimes. This is what translating feels like. But when you have walked the path many times, your steps become natural. You do not need to think about every move. You just walk. Thinking in English works in the same way. The more you practice, the faster and more natural your responses become. Let's imagine a simple example. Someone asks, "What did you do yesterday?" If you translate in your head, you might stop and think, "Yesterday, I go to the store." You see, you are searching for words and making pauses. But if you think in English, your mind immediately knows, "Yesterday, I went to the store." You can answer quickly, confidently, and naturally. The conversation flows without hesitation. This is exactly what we want to achieve with thinking in English. Another example is when you want to give your opinion. If you translate, your thoughts slow down. You might feel pressure because you want to find the right words. You think, "How do I say this in English? How do I make a correct sentence?" But when your mind thinks in English, you can respond freely. "I think this movie is very interesting because the story is exciting and the characters are strong." Your answer comes smoothly. You do not need to stop and translate. You can focus on expressing yourself, not just finding words. Thinking in English also makes you more relaxed during conversations. When you stop translating, you spend less energy in your brain. You can listen better, understand more, and respond faster. You feel more present in the conversation. You can enjoy talking in English without fear or stress. This is why thinking in English is a real game changer for fluency. You can practice thinking in English in your daily life. Start with simple sentences about your day. "I am drinking water." "I am walking to the shop." "I am listening to music." Then move to more complex ideas. "Today I learned new words in English." "I want to practice speaking every day." "I like to talk with people in English because it helps me learn faster." Say these sentences in your mind or out loud. Try to think only in English when you describe what you are doing, what you are seeing, or what you are feeling. You can also practice conversations with yourself. Imagine you are talking to a friend. Ask a question in your mind. "What do you like to do on weekends?" Then answer in English. "I like to go for a walk, watch movies, and read books." Repeat these exercises every day. Your brain will learn to respond automatically in English. Slowly, you will notice that real conversations with other people become easier. You will no longer hesitate or search for words. Your answers will flow naturally. Even small daily activities can help. When you are at the store, think in English. "I need milk." "I want to buy bread." "I will pay with cash." When you see something on TV, describe it in English. "The cat is sleeping." "The weather is rainy today." "I like this song because it is happy." Every small practice trains your brain. You build a habit of thinking in English. Remember, fluency is not about speaking perfectly. Fluency is about being able to respond quickly, naturally, and confidently. Thinking in English makes your answers faster. It reduces hesitation. It builds your confidence in conversations. Every day you practice, you improve a little more. Over time, thinking in English becomes automatic. Your brain learns to understand and respond in English without stopping. This is the key to having smooth, natural conversations and feeling comfortable speaking English anywhere. When you begin to think in English, one of the most amazing changes you will notice is how much your confidence in speaking improves. Many English learners feel nervous when they try to talk. They worry about making mistakes, using the wrong word, or not being understood. This fear can make conversations stressful and slow. But thinking in English changes everything. It allows you to speak naturally without overthinking every word. You no longer have to translate in your head. You no longer have to stop and search for words. Instead, you focus on your ideas and how to express them clearly. Imagine a small conversation with a friend. In the past, you might have heard them say something simple like, "What do you want to eat?" And you would stop thinking, "How do I say this in English? I know the word want, but what about eat?" Should I say I want to eat or I would like to eat? This pause makes you nervous and slows the conversation. But when you think in English, your answer comes naturally. I want a sandwich or I would like some pizza. You speak quickly, confidently, and clearly. This confidence is powerful because your mind is focused on expressing ideas, not translating words. Confidence grows every time you practice thinking in English. It starts with small sentences. For example, in the morning you can think, I am drinking water, I am eating breakfast, or I am going to the store. These small thoughts may seem simple, but they train your brain to speak English automatically. Over time, you will notice that even longer sentences become easy. Today, I will practice English for 30 minutes because it helps me speak better. Practicing these sentences daily builds your confidence step by step. Let's think about a real situation. You are at a cafe, and the barista asks, "What would you like to drink?" If you are still translating, you might freeze trying to find the words. But when you think in English, your mind knows the answer immediately. I would like a coffee, please. You smile and say it naturally. The more you practice thinking in English, the more you feel comfortable speaking in front of other people. This confidence makes you enjoy conversations more. You are not afraid of mistakes. You are focused on expressing yourself and connecting with others. Confidence also grows when you make small corrections naturally while speaking. You might say, I went to the park yesterday. Thinking in English helps you catch mistakes quickly without stopping the conversation. You learn to adjust while talking, which is exactly what fluent speakers do. Mistakes no longer feel scary. They become part of the learning process, and your confidence increases because you realize you can communicate even when you are not perfect. Another way thinking in English increases confidence is by helping you speak without hesitating. Many learners pause often because they are translating or doubting themselves. They worry, did I say it right? Or will the person understand me? But when your brain thinks in English, hesitation disappears. You respond naturally, even if the sentence is not perfect. For example, someone asks, do you like movies? You immediately answer, yes, I love movies, especially action films. Your response is quick, clear, and confident. This fluency in thinking leads to fluency in speaking, and fluency builds confidence. Confidence also grows in professional or academic settings. Imagine you are in a class, a meeting, or a discussion. You can understand questions quickly and answer with complete sentences. I agree with this idea because it helps people learn faster. Or, I think this solution is good because it is simple and effective. Thinking in English prepares your mind to respond immediately, without fear. You speak with clarity, and other people notice your confidence. Even in casual conversations, thinking in English helps you stay relaxed. You can talk about your day, your hobbies, or your favorite foods without stopping. You can express feelings naturally. I am happy because I learned new words today, or I feel excited to practice English with my friend. When your thoughts are in English, speaking becomes easier, smoother, and enjoyable. Your voice sounds natural, and your personality shines through. One practical exercise to increase confidence is to narrate your daily life in English. For example, I wake up at 7 o'clock. I brush my teeth. I eat breakfast. I go to work or school. I study English for 30 minutes. Say these sentences in your mind or aloud. Then expand. After studying, I go for a walk. I listen to music and practice speaking English. I like to learn new words because it helps me talk with other people. By practicing daily, your brain becomes trained to think in English automatically, and your confidence grows without effort. Finally, confidence in English comes from the understanding that mistakes are normal. When you think in English, you focus on expressing ideas, not perfection. You realize that the goal of communication is to be understood, not to speak perfectly. Every conversation, every sentence, and every practice session builds your self-assurance. You start speaking freely, naturally, and confidently. Thinking in English is not just a method to learn words. It is a tool to feel strong, independent, and proud of your English. In conclusion, Training your brain to think in English transforms your speaking ability. It reduces hesitation, helps you find words faster, allows you to self-correct naturally, and most importantly, gives you the confidence to speak in any situation, at home, at school, at work, or with friends. Every moment you think in English is a step toward becoming a fluent, confident, and happy English speaker. Your ideas, your personality, and your voice can shine fully, and speaking English becomes not a challenge, but a natural part of your life. One of the most important benefits of thinking in English is that it can greatly improve your listening skills. Many learners find listening the most challenging part of learning English. Sometimes, when people speak quickly, use slang, or have different accents, it can feel confusing or even overwhelming. But when your brain is trained to think in English, listening becomes much easier. You no longer just hear words, you understand ideas. You begin to connect sentences naturally, and your brain interprets meaning as it comes, without needing to translate every word. Imagine you are in a cafe, and two friends are talking at the next table. One says, "I can't believe how busy the city is today." The other replies, "Yes, the streets are crowded, but the weather is nice, so at least we can enjoy walking outside." If you are still translating in your head, you might catch only some words. Busy city, streets, weather, walking outside. But when you think in English, your mind processes the whole idea. You understand that the city is crowded, but the weather is good, and people are still enjoying themselves. This skill makes listening more natural, less stressful, and more enjoyable. Thinking in English also helps when people speak fast. At first, fast speech can seem impossible to follow. You may feel like you miss most of the sentence. But as you practice thinking in English, your brain begins to process phrases and ideas automatically. For example, someone says, "I was running late this morning because the train was delayed, but I managed to get here on time." When you think in English, you understand immediately. The person had a problem with the train but still arrived on time. You do not need to pause and translate every word. Your brain understands the meaning directly, which improves your listening skills dramatically. Another benefit is that thinking in English allows you to notice details in conversations. Small words, expressions, and tones become easier to recognize. For instance, if someone says, "I'm a bit tired, but I'm okay," you understand not only the words but also the meaning behind them. You know the person is feeling slightly tired but still fine. You start recognizing subtle hints like emotions, intentions, and opinions, which makes communication richer and more effective. Let's practice a small exercise. Imagine you are listening to this sentence. "I love reading books in the evening because it helps me relax after work." Instead of pausing to translate, try to think directly in English. The person enjoys reading at night. Reading helps them relax. They do it after work. By thinking in English, you train your brain to focus on meaning, not translation. Over time, this makes understanding real conversations much faster and easier. Listening skills also improve in real-life situations, like watching TV, listening to podcasts, or talking to friends. For example, if you watch a show and someone says, "Can you believe what happened at the party last night?" You immediately know the question is about a surprising event. Your brain does not stop to translate each word. You understand the situation quickly and can even respond naturally. "Yes, I heard it was amazing." This ability to follow conversations in real time is a sign of true fluency. Thinking in English also helps when people use idioms, slang, or expressions. For instance, if someone says, "It's raining cats and dogs," a literal translation might confuse you. But if your brain is trained to think in English, you immediately understand. It is raining very heavily. This skill allows you to follow conversations more easily and enjoy TV shows, movies, or podcasts without constantly stopping to check meanings in a dictionary. Another advantage is that listening becomes less stressful. Many learners feel anxious when speaking with native speakers because they fear they won't understand. But when you practice thinking in English, your brain is already used to processing ideas in English. You understand faster, and listening feels natural. You can enjoy conversations without fear or hesitation. A great way to practice is to listen and repeat. For example, listen to short sentences and think in English about their meaning. Then repeat the sentence aloud. This trains both listening and speaking. For instance, I'm going to the store to buy some vegetables. Think, they are going shopping for vegetables. Repeat aloud. She loves listening to music while studying. Think, she enjoys music when she studies. Repeat aloud. Finally, thinking in English strengthens your overall language ability. Listening becomes easier, speaking becomes faster, and your understanding of English grows naturally. You start to enjoy learning English more because you feel capable and confident. Every conversation you follow successfully, every detail you understand, and every idea you catch makes your listening skills stronger and your brain more prepared to use English in real life. In conclusion, thinking in English is a powerful tool to improve your listening skills. Your brain begins to understand ideas, not just words. You notice details, follow conversations, and even enjoy TV shows, podcasts, or real-life discussions without stress. Listening becomes a natural process, helping you grow into a confident and fluent English speaker. The more you practice, the more your listening improves, making English a living part of your mind, ready for any situation. Now that we understand why thinking in English is so important, it's time to explore how we can actually train our brains to do it. Many English learners wonder, how can I start thinking in English? Is it enough to just use English words in my head? The answer is yes, but it is also much more than that. Thinking in English is about changing the way your mind processes ideas, words, and sentences. It is about seeing and understanding the world through the English language. Our thoughts are closely connected to the language we use. When we speak in our native language, our brain automatically uses words, phrases, and patterns that we know well. But when we start using English, even inside our heads, our brain begins to form new habits. You begin to imagine things in English. You describe events, feelings, and ideas in English. You do not translate from your native language anymore. You think directly in English. For example, imagine you are looking at a beautiful sunset. In your own language, you might have a special word for the colors or the feeling it gives you. But in English, you might say, the sky is orange and pink. The clouds look soft, and the sun is slowly going down. Notice that your brain now uses English words to describe the scene. You are practicing English while thinking, not just speaking. This is a very important step for fluency. Another example is everyday activities. Imagine you are making breakfast. Instead of thinking in your native language, try to think in English. I am boiling water for tea. I am cutting bread. I am making an egg sandwich. By describing your actions in English, you are training your brain to use English naturally. Over time, this becomes a habit, and your brain starts automatically thinking in English without needing translation. You can also practice thinking in English when planning your day. For instance, before leaving your house, try to describe your schedule in English. First, I will go to the store. Then, I will meet my friend. After that, I will study English for 1 hour. Thinking like this every day helps your brain to process English ideas directly. It also improves your ability to speak quickly and naturally in real conversations. Even when you are alone, you can practice thinking in English. Walk around your house or sit in a quiet place and describe what you see or what you are feeling. For example, I see a cup on the table. It is white. I feel happy because the sun is shining. This small exercise trains your brain to connect English words with real-life situations. It helps your English become part of your thinking, not just something you study in a book. Another effective method is to imagine conversations in English. Think about what you would say in different situations: ordering food in a restaurant, asking for directions, or talking with a friend. Imagine both sides of the conversation. For example, Excuse me, where is the nearest bus stop? Stranger, it's 2 blocks ahead next to the bank. By imagining these dialogues, your brain starts to respond in English automatically. You practice forming sentences, using correct words, and understanding answers without translating in your head. You can also combine this practice with reading or listening. When you read a story or listen to a podcast in English, try to think in English about what you understand. The character is happy because he found his lost dog. He is walking home with the dog. The weather is sunny. By doing this, your brain begins to process English information naturally. This improves both your listening and your speaking. It is also important to be patient. Thinking in English is a skill that takes time. At first, your brain may still translate from your native language. You may make mistakes or feel slow, but this is normal. With consistent practice, your brain gradually learns to think in English directly. Start with small steps like describing simple actions, your environment, or your feelings. Then move to more complex thoughts and ideas. Finally, remember that thinking in English is not only about words. It is also about ideas, feelings, and imagination. When you imagine a story, a dream, or a plan, try to think in English first. For example, tomorrow I will go to the park. I will read a book. I will watch the birds and the flowers. By imagining in English, your brain builds strong connections between ideas and language. This makes your speaking faster, your listening easier, and your English more natural. By practicing these steps every day, describing your surroundings, planning your day, imagining conversations, thinking about your feelings, and visualizing stories, you train your brain to live in English. Over time, thinking in English becomes automatic. You will speak more confidently, respond faster in conversations, and understand what you hear more easily. This is the key to real fluency. Thinking in English is not just a method, it is a habit. The more you practice, the more your brain will adapt. You will notice small improvements every day. Simple sentences become automatic. Listening becomes easier. Speaking becomes smoother. And most importantly, your confidence grows because you are now able to express your ideas clearly in English, directly from your mind. So start today. Pick a small activity, like describing your morning, imagining a conversation, or thinking about a story in English. Practice every day. Record yourself if you can. Repeat and correct yourself. With time, patience, and consistent effort, your brain will fully switch to English thinking. Your learning will become faster, your English will feel natural, and your fluency will grow step by step. Thinking in English is one of the most powerful skills you can develop as an English learner. It may sound challenging at first, but it is not impossible. In fact, research shows that people who regularly think in the language they are speaking become more fluent, more confident, and better at solving problems. When you start thinking in English, your brain begins to work differently. You process ideas faster, respond more naturally, and speak without needing to translate from your native language. This is a key step to moving from learning English to living English. Let's start with the first and most important step, describing the things around you in English. Begin with your immediate environment. Look at an object, a person, or even a situation, and form simple English sentences in your mind. For example, if you are sitting at your desk, you might think, "This is my blue notebook. It is on the table. The pen is next to the notebook. The sunlight is coming through the window." Notice how even these simple sentences help your brain start connecting ideas directly in English. You do not have to speak out loud if you are somewhere public. Just thinking in English is already training your brain. Over time, you will notice that you can describe more complicated things. I am drinking coffee. The coffee is hot and smells good. I feel happy because I can start my day. Next, integrate English into your daily routines. Everyday activities are full of opportunities to practice thinking in English. When you cook, clean, or walk outside, describe your actions in English. For instance, if you are cooking, think, "I am cutting the tomatoes. I am putting them in the pan. I need to add salt and pepper." Or if you are walking down the street, you can observe your surroundings. The sky is a little cloudy. There are 2 children playing near the park. The woman is wearing a red dress. By turning simple observations and actions into English sentences, your brain starts forming connections that allow you to think and react in English naturally. Another very effective step is talking to yourself in English. Speaking out loud may feel strange at first, but it is an excellent way to train your brain. Try narrating your day, even if no one is listening. For example, when getting ready in the morning, say, "I am brushing my teeth. I am combing my hair. I am putting on my shoes. I need to take my bag and go to work." This method helps your brain practice forming English sentences quickly. It also reinforces new words and phrases. You can do this while walking, cooking, or even waiting in line. Over time, these mini sentences become automatic. Your brain learns to think in English naturally. Immersion is another powerful tool. Surrounding yourself with English media helps your brain get used to the language. Start with things you enjoy like movies, TV shows, or YouTube videos. Listen to podcasts, music, or audiobooks in English. For example, choose a simple English podcast for beginners and listen carefully. Hello, everyone. Today we will talk about daily routines. Try to understand without subtitles at first. Pause, repeat, and think about the sentences in English. Even if you only understand a few words, your brain is training itself to think in English. Over time, you will recognize phrases, words, and expressions automatically. Practicing with real English speakers is another essential step. Conversations with others force your brain to respond quickly in English. You can speak with a friend, a language exchange partner, or even participate in online communities. For example, if your friend asks, "What did you do yesterday?" you can respond, "I went to the park. I walked my dog and listened to music." If you do not have access to many English speakers, you can also practice using chat apps or forums. The key is to think and respond in English, even if it is just simple sentences at first. It is also very helpful to imagine conversations. Think about situations you might face: ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or introducing yourself to a new friend. Imagine both sides of the conversation. For example, "Excuse me, where is the nearest bus stop?" Stranger: "It is 2 blocks ahead next to the supermarket." "Thank you very much. I appreciate it." Practicing these imagined dialogues trains your brain to respond in English quickly. Over time, your responses will feel natural. You will not need to stop and translate each word in your head. Another strategy is to use English to think about your feelings and ideas. Describe what you feel and what you plan to do. For example, "I feel a little tired today. I will drink water and take a short walk. I hope this will make me feel better." By doing this, your brain connects emotions with English words. You will be able to explain your feelings in English without hesitation. Small daily habits are very important. You don't need to think in English all the time at first. Start with 5 or 10 minutes a day. Describe your room, your breakfast, or your walk in English. As you get more comfortable, increase the time. Try to think in English during longer activities. Remember, consistency is more important than intensity. Daily practice creates a strong habit in your brain. One more tip is to keep a small notebook or an app with new words and sentences you practice. Write simple sentences every day. "I am reading a book. The book is very interesting. I like the story." Review your sentences and try to think of new ones. The repetition helps your brain memorize and use English automatically. Finally, remember to be patient and kind to yourself. Thinking in English is a skill that develops over time. At first, it may feel slow or unnatural. You might forget words or make mistakes. That is normal. The more you practice, the faster your brain will switch to English thinking. You will notice that you speak more confidently, understand English better, and respond more quickly. By following these steps, describing your environment, thinking during daily activities, talking to yourself, immersing in English media, practicing with others, imagining conversations, and writing sentences, you can train your brain to think in English naturally. Over time, you will no longer translate in your head. English will become your natural way of thinking. Your fluency, confidence, and ability to understand and express ideas will grow every day. Start small, stay consistent, and practice every day. Your brain is ready to learn. You just need to give it English. With patience and regular practice, thinking in English will become automatic, and your English will become real, lived, and fluent. Now, let's take a moment to review all the steps we have learned so far. Reviewing helps your brain remember and understand better. Learning to think in English is like learning a new habit. You need to practice regularly, step by step, and be patient with yourself. The first step is to describe the things around you in English. Look at the objects, people, and places near you and try to make simple sentences. For example, if you are in your room, you can say to yourself, "This is my blue chair." The chair is next to the desk. On the desk, there is a notebook and a pen. You can also describe your clothes. I am wearing a red shirt. My shoes are black. The weather is sunny today. By practicing this every day, your brain starts to connect English words with what you see, making it easier to think in English naturally. The second step is to think in English during your daily activities. This means talking in English in your mind while you cook, walk, clean, or travel. For example, when cooking, you can think, "I am boiling water. I will add some salt. I am cutting the vegetables." Or if you are walking outside, "The sun is bright today. There are 2 children playing in the park. The car is red." By thinking in English during simple tasks, your brain becomes used to English as your natural way of thinking. The third step is to talk to yourself in English. This may feel a little strange at first, but it is very effective. You can narrate your day in English even if no one is listening. For example, when getting ready in the morning, you might say, "I am brushing my teeth. I am putting on my shoes. I am taking my bag and leaving the house." Talking to yourself out loud helps your brain practice forming sentences, using new words, and improving your pronunciation. The more you do it, the more confident you will feel when speaking English with other people. The fourth step is to immerse yourself in English through media. Watch movies, TV shows, or YouTube videos in English. Listen to podcasts, songs, or audiobooks. For example, you can choose a short English video about daily life and try to repeat the sentences. "I am going to the market. I am buying fruits and vegetables." Listening regularly helps your brain recognize English words and sentences faster. You will begin to understand English without translating in your head. Even if you only understand a few words at first, keep listening. Your brain will improve over time. The fifth step is to practice with English speakers. Speaking with others helps your brain think and respond in English quickly. You can talk to friends, language partners, or online community members. For example, if someone asks you, "What did you do today?" you can answer, "I went to the park. I walked my dog. I listened to music." Practicing real conversations is very important. If you do not have many English speakers near you, you can practice online or in chat groups. The important thing is to use English actively. The sixth step is to keep an English notebook or journal. Writing in English every day helps you remember words, phrases, and sentences. You can write about your day, your feelings, or small observations. For example, "Today I drank coffee. I walked in the park. I saw a big tree." Writing sentences and reading them again will make your brain comfortable with English thinking. You can also check your sentences and correct mistakes. This is a very useful habit for beginners and intermediate learners. The most important idea in all these steps is consistency. You cannot expect to start thinking in English perfectly from the first day. Start small. Make it a habit to think in English for a few minutes every day. Slowly, your brain will get used to it. Mistakes are normal. They are part of learning. Never feel discouraged if you forget a word or say something wrong. Each mistake is a step forward in your journey. Remember, learning to think in English is not just about words. It is about creating a new way for your brain to work. Step by step, your mind will begin to recognize English patterns naturally. You will speak faster, understand more, and feel more confident every day. The key is to practice regularly, stay patient, and enjoy the process. So, keep describing things around you, think in English while doing daily activities, talk to yourself, watch and listen to English media, practice with speakers, and write in your English notebook. Do these small steps every day. Over time, thinking in English will become natural. You will start to notice that your brain works in English automatically. Your fluency, confidence, and ability to express yourself will grow, and you will feel ready to use English in real life with ease and comfort. All right, so far we have talked about why it is very important to think in English, how thinking in English helps your brain, and some practical steps you can start using today. But let's be honest, learning to think in English is not always easy. Sometimes it can feel a little difficult or even frustrating, and that is completely normal. Every person who is learning a new language faces challenges. The important thing is to keep going and not give up. Today we will talk about some common challenges and, more importantly, how you can overcome them. One of the biggest challenges for many learners is the fear of making mistakes. This is very common. You might worry that when you try to think in English, your sentences will be wrong, or that people will laugh at you or judge you. But here is a very important truth. Everyone makes mistakes when learning a new language. Even the most fluent speakers made mistakes when they were learning English. Mistakes are not something bad, they are a natural part of learning. Think about when you were a small child learning your first language. You probably said many words wrong, but with each mistake, you learned and improved. The same is true for English. So, what is the solution? The first step is to stop being afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are not failures. Instead, think of mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow. Each time you make a mistake, you learn a new word, a better way to use a sentence, or how to say something more clearly. Over time, you will notice that mistakes happen less and less, and your confidence will increase. Another common challenge is thinking too much in your native language. Many learners translate every word from their own language to English. This can make speaking slower and make you feel nervous because your brain is working very hard. But here is the key. You need to train your mind to think directly in English. Start with small steps. Describe things around you in English. Talk to yourself in English. Slowly, your brain will begin to process English naturally. The more you practice, the easier it becomes, and you will start speaking faster and more confidently. Some learners also feel shy or embarrassed when speaking English, especially in front of other people. This is completely normal too. The solution is to start small. Practice alone at home first. Talk to yourself, describe your day, or read sentences out loud. When you feel more comfortable, try speaking with a friend or a language partner. Every small step builds your confidence. Remember, nobody becomes fluent overnight. Confidence grows with practice. Another challenge is forgetting words or phrases while speaking. This can be frustrating, but it happens to everyone. The key here is to keep a notebook or journal in English. Write down new words, useful phrases, or sentences you want to remember. Review them regularly and try to use them in real conversations. Over time, your memory will improve and your vocabulary will grow. You will be able to speak more easily without stopping to think about every word. Sometimes learners feel overwhelmed because English has so many rules, words, and expressions. It can feel like there is too much to learn. The solution is to focus on one thing at a time. You do not need to learn everything at once. Start with simple sentences and daily vocabulary. Gradually, add more words, phrases, and expressions. Little by little, your English will improve, and you will feel more comfortable and confident. Finally, one of the most important things to remember is patience. Learning to think in English takes time. Do not rush yourself. Be consistent and practice every day, even if it is just a few minutes. Each day you practice, you are building a stronger English habit. Each mistake, each sentence, each new word is helping your brain become more comfortable thinking in English. In summary, challenges like fear of mistakes, translating in your head, feeling shy, forgetting words, and feeling overwhelmed are normal. Every learner faces them. The solution is to accept mistakes, practice daily, take small steps, and stay patient. The more you practice thinking in English, the easier it becomes. You will start to notice that your brain automatically begins to process English. Your confidence will grow, your speaking will become smoother, and you will enjoy using English in your daily life. Remember, learning English is not just about studying words or grammar. It is about creating a habit of thinking, speaking, and understanding in English. Challenges will appear, but they are just part of your journey. Keep moving forward, practice every day, and soon you will feel proud of how naturally your English comes to you. One very common challenge for English learners is switching back to your native language. When you are learning English, it is natural to feel more comfortable thinking in your own language. Sometimes you might not know the English words for certain things, or it might feel faster to translate everything in your head. This is normal, but it can slow down your progress and make it harder for your brain to get used to thinking in English. The good news is that there is a simple solution: practice regularly. The more you practice thinking in English, the easier it becomes. You can start with small, simple thoughts. For example, think about what you will eat for breakfast. I will have eggs and toast. I need to drink some water. Or think about your plans for the day. Today I will go to work. I will meet my friend in the afternoon. By practicing these small thoughts in English, your brain begins to train itself to think in the language naturally. As you gain confidence, you can start thinking about more complex ideas. Try to describe your feelings, tell a story in English, or plan your week using English words. Even if you make mistakes, keep going. Mistakes are a part of learning and help your brain remember the correct words and phrases. Slowly, your habit of thinking in English will become stronger, and you will rely less on your native language. Another challenge many learners face is feeling like there are not enough opportunities to practice English. This is very common, especially if you do not live in an English-speaking country, or if you don't have many people around you who speak English. But the good news is that there are many ways to practice English on your own. For example, you can join online communities where people speak English. You can use language exchange apps to find a partner and practice conversations. You can even talk to yourself in English at home. Describe what you are doing while cooking, cleaning, or getting ready in the morning. These simple exercises help your brain think in English and make the language feel more natural. Another very useful method is listening to English media. This can include podcasts, movies, songs, YouTube videos, or audiobooks. Listening to English every day exposes your brain to the rhythm, words, and pronunciation of real English. When you hear English often, you start to recognize words and phrases without thinking in your native language. Over time, this listening practice makes it much easier to think in English naturally. The most important thing to remember is consistency. You don't need to be perfect or speak like a native speaker immediately. Just practice a little bit every day. Start with small thoughts, simple sentences, or listening to English media for a few minutes. Gradually increase your practice time and the complexity of your thoughts. Step by step, your brain will get used to thinking in English automatically. Finally, remember that patience is key. It is normal to switch back to your native language sometimes. It happens to everyone. The important part is to keep practicing, stay consistent, and be patient with yourself. With time and regular effort, thinking in English will feel natural, your speaking will improve, and your confidence will grow. By overcoming these challenges, switching back to your native language, feeling limited opportunities to practice, and managing patience, you will build a strong habit of thinking in English. Little by little, your brain will start processing English naturally, and you will feel more comfortable using English in your everyday life, at work, or when speaking with friends. One of the most common feelings for English learners is frustration with progress. You practice every day, you study vocabulary, watch movies, listen to podcasts, or try to speak with friends, but sometimes it feels like you are not improving fast enough. Maybe you feel stuck, like you are repeating the same mistakes over and over. This is a very normal experience, and it happens to everyone at some point. Even advanced learners who speak English very well sometimes feel frustrated. Learning a language is not always easy, and progress is not always visible immediately. But here is the secret: progress takes time. Real improvement often happens slowly, and it may be less noticeable day by day. The important thing is not to give up. Every small effort you make counts. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, every minute you spend thinking in English, all of this adds up. You may not see the results immediately, but your brain is learning and adapting. Even if you feel like you are moving very slowly, your ability to understand and use English is improving in small ways that will become obvious over time. One very important tip is to celebrate small victories. You do not need to wait until you can speak perfectly or understand every word in a movie to feel successful. Small wins are important. For example, if you watch a short video in English and understand most of it without subtitles, that is a victory. If you can say a complete sentence about your day without translating in your head, that is a victory. Even understanding one new word or phrase is a step forward. By celebrating these small achievements, you give yourself motivation to continue. Each small win builds confidence and keeps your brain engaged in learning English. Another key point is consistency. Learning English is like exercising your body. You cannot go to the gym once and expect to be strong the next day. Similarly, thinking and speaking in English requires daily practice. The good news is that this practice does not need to be long or complicated. Even 5 to 10 minutes every day can make a difference. You can describe your surroundings in English, think about your plans for the day in English, or narrate what you are doing while cooking, walking, or cleaning. These small habits, repeated every day, train your brain to think naturally in English. It is also important to use English in different ways. Listening, speaking, reading, and writing are all connected. For example, listening to English podcasts or songs helps you understand natural pronunciation and rhythm. Reading a short article or story in English teaches new words and expressions. Speaking with friends or practicing aloud by yourself helps you organize your thoughts in English. Writing a few sentences about your day in a notebook reinforces vocabulary and grammar. By using English in different ways, you create more connections in your brain, making it easier to think in English naturally. Many learners also face the problem of self-doubt. Sometimes you think, "I am not good enough," or "I will never speak like a native speaker." These thoughts can be discouraging, but they are normal. Remember that every learner starts somewhere, and even small efforts lead to big results over time. Focus on your progress, not on comparing yourself to others. Everyone's journey is different. What matters most is your commitment to practicing every day and keeping a positive attitude. Let's talk about ways to stay motivated. Motivation can change from day to day. Some days you feel excited and energetic, other days you feel tired or distracted. That is normal. To stay motivated, set small, clear goals. For example, today I will describe my breakfast in English, or I will listen to a 5-minute podcast and understand the main idea. Small goals are easier to achieve and give you a sense of accomplishment. Over time, these small goals add up, and your English will improve naturally. Another way to stay motivated is to keep a journal of your progress. Write down new words, phrases, or sentences you learned. Note down the things you understood from a movie, video, or conversation. Seeing how much you have learned over weeks or months gives a real sense of achievement. It also shows you that even if some days feel slow, you are moving forward. It is very important to be patient with yourself. Learning English is not a race. You do not need to master everything at once. Some days you may feel stuck, but that does not mean you are not learning. The brain takes time to create new habits, and thinking in English is a habit that grows gradually. Even if you practice for just a few minutes a day, your brain is slowly getting better at thinking in English. Finally, remember that every step matters. Even small efforts like thinking about what you will say, repeating a phrase, or listening to a short conversation in English build your fluency. You do not need to do everything perfectly. Mistakes are part of learning. Every time you make a mistake and try again, you learn something new. Over time, you will notice your confidence increasing. You will speak more naturally, understand more words, and feel more comfortable expressing your ideas in English. So the key points are: practice every day, celebrate small wins, set simple goals, stay patient, and use English in many ways. By following these principles, you will overcome frustration, build confidence, and create a habit of thinking in English. Remember, the journey is long, but every small step brings you closer to your goal. Whether you spend 5 minutes describing your surroundings in English, watching a short video without subtitles, or writing a simple diary entry, you are improving. Over time, all these small efforts create a strong foundation for fluent English. Learning English is a journey full of challenges and achievements. Feeling frustrated is normal, but do not give up. Keep practicing, stay motivated, celebrate your progress, and remember that every small step counts. Your English will improve, your confidence will grow, and soon you will find yourself thinking, speaking, and understanding English naturally. We have come a long way together in this journey of learning English. We started by understanding why it is so important to think in English. We explored how thinking in English can help you become more fluent, respond faster in conversations, feel more confident, and improve your listening skills. We discussed the connection between language and thought, showing how your brain adapts when you start processing English naturally. We also explored practical steps to train your mind to think in English every day. From describing the objects around you, thinking in English during daily activities, talking to yourself, immersing in English media, practicing with other speakers, to keeping a journal of your progress. Each of these steps builds your brain's ability to function naturally in English. We also talked about the common challenges every learner faces. Fear of making mistakes, switching back to your native language, feeling like you don't have enough opportunities to practice, and frustration when progress seems slow. These are normal feelings, and every learner experiences them. The difference between success and stagnation is how you respond to these challenges. The most successful learners do not give up. They embrace mistakes as learning opportunities, practice consistently, and celebrate even the smallest victories. Every word you learn, every sentence you form, every conversation you participate in adds to your progress. Patience is another critical element. Learning English is not a sprint, it is a marathon. Your brain needs time to form new habits, to connect words with meanings, and to process language naturally. Just like learning to ride a bicycle, it may feel awkward at first, but with practice it becomes automatic. The same is true for thinking in English. The more you practice, the easier it will become, and soon, your brain will begin to think directly in English without needing to translate from your native language. Consistency is your most powerful tool. Small daily actions compound over time. Even just 5 minutes of thinking in English, narrating your daily activities, or listening to a short English podcast can make a difference. Over weeks and months, these small efforts create a strong foundation for fluency. Remember, quality is more important than quantity. Focusing on thoughtful practice, actively engaging with English, and applying what you learn in real-life situations are far more effective than passive study. We also explored how immersion helps accelerate your learning. Surrounding yourself with English through movies, series, YouTube videos, podcasts, music, and conversations forces your brain to adapt. Your listening comprehension improves, your vocabulary expands, and your confidence grows. Immersion is not just about hearing English. It is about thinking in English while absorbing real-life usage. When you start noticing how native speakers express ideas, use idioms, and convey emotion through tone and body language, your English becomes richer and more natural. Engaging with other speakers is equally essential. Whether it's a language exchange partner, an online community, or a friend who speaks English, real conversations provide instant feedback and help you practice thinking quickly in English. It challenges your brain to respond in real time, to recall words and phrases, and to organize your thoughts clearly. Speaking aloud, even if only to yourself at first, reinforces mental patterns and builds fluency. The more you practice, the less hesitation you will feel, and the more your conversations will flow naturally. Keeping a journal or notebook is another powerful habit. Writing daily in English, even simple sentences about your day, feelings, or thoughts, strengthens memory and helps internalize vocabulary and grammar. Reviewing your entries regularly lets you see your growth, notice repeated mistakes, and correct them. This practice reinforces both thinking and writing skills and is a quiet, reflective way to connect with English every day. Frustration and self-doubt are natural, but they should never stop you. Feeling stuck, like progress is slow, is a normal part of language learning. The secret is to focus on small wins, consistency, and patience. Every time you understand a short conversation, watch a scene in a movie without subtitles, or say a sentence correctly, you are progressing. Celebrate these victories. They are proof of your dedication and evidence that your brain is rewiring to think in English. Now, let's be honest, thinking in English is not just a technique. It is a lifestyle change for your mind. It requires effort, mindfulness, and daily commitment. You cannot simply decide to think in English once and expect fluency to appear. But by following the steps we discussed, describing surroundings, thinking during daily activities, talking to yourself, immersing in English media, practicing with other speakers, keeping a journal, and being patient, you create a powerful habit that will transform your English skills over time. Here is the most important thing to remember. Every single step you take counts. Even small efforts matter. 5 minutes of focused practice every day is far better than 1 hour of distracted study once a week. Your brain learns through repetition, exposure, and real-life application. Each time you use English, whether silently thinking, speaking, listening, or writing, you are reinforcing neural pathways that make English thinking natural. And now, I want you to take action today. Don't wait for tomorrow, next week, or some perfect moment. Start now. Pick one small step and make it part of your day. Describe something around you in English. Listen to a short podcast episode and try to understand the main idea. Narrate your morning routine in English. Write a few sentences in your notebook. Even 5 minutes matters. Make this a daily habit because consistency is what builds fluency. Remember, learning English is not about perfection. It is about progress. Mistakes are not failures. They are opportunities to grow. Confidence comes from practice, persistence, and patience. The more you immerse yourself, the more automatic thinking in English will become, and soon speaking, listening, and understanding will feel natural. Finally, I want to leave you with a strong message. Your journey in English is yours to shape. Every choice, every minute, every effort counts. You have the power to transform your English, to think in English, and to express yourself with clarity and confidence. Keep practicing, keep immersing yourself, and keep pushing forward. The small steps you take today are the foundation of your fluent English tomorrow. So here is your call to action. Start right now. Take one simple step today and repeat it every day. Make it a habit. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Celebrate your progress. Use English in every part of your day. Think in English. Speak in English. Write in English. Listen in English. Immerse yourself fully. Your English journey is in your hands, and the time to start is now. Consistent effort, patience, and daily practice will transform your English into a natural, confident, and powerful skill. Keep going, because every small step you take today brings you closer to your goal of fluency.